Today's Tarotorial is going to be about the kings of the different suits. So the King of Cups, Swords, Pentacles, and Wands. And the kings are representing leadership and are often related to the foundation and structure of their suit. And so what I love about this deck, and each deck is different and has different meanings and symbologies. So, but what I really love about this deck is that not only does it cover specific angels as part of this deck, but it also highlights different individuals and how they contributed to society and the evolution of humanity. And so today we're going to focus first on the King of Cups. And I apologize in advance if I brutalize any of these names. So the first person is Erasmus of Rotterdam. Okay, and he existed in 1466 to 1536. He was a brilliant writer and scholar who lived during the unsettling times of the Protestant Reformation, urged by both Catholics and Protestants to take sides. He was critical of many church abuses, but remained Catholic his entire life. He sought to reform the church, and much of his writing laid the foundation for religious tolerance. Though he was born in the Netherlands, he was a citizen of the world and lived at different times all over Europe. He was known to be a good teacher, and some of his students became lifelong friends and patrons. Erasmus was a prolific writer, wanted his books to be affordable so whoever wanted to read them would have access to them. His best-known work was In Praise of Folly, a satire on superstition, human nature, society, and religion. It was a bestseller in his own time and is still read today. So when you see the King of Cups, some of the symbols here represents the window and how it's open with light pouring into the room. The window is representing an open mind and heart. The books are representing knowledge and education. The globe, which is behind there on the shelf, this is really representing the concern for broader matters, not just those that affect him personally. And so when you see the King of Cups, this really is representing a masculine energy that is emotionally mature, secure, and resilient, okay? As well as being well-balanced, calm, and at ease. They also bring an old soul wisdom and understanding of human nature, as well as someone who's sympathetic, tolerant, and kind-hearted. They generally have a concern for the well-being of others, right? The humanity aspect of things. They are an adept mediator, okay? They're able to calm things down, okay? As well as give good advice and very may be a good teacher. So if you see King of Cups in the reverse, this might mean the opposite of all those things, but as well as potentially easily identifies like the foibles and sins of the human being. So this would be emotionally manipulating, or someone who, teeters and totters with the lack of morality, okay, that might need to be reviewed, as well as like cynical, like cynicism about the state of humanity and just life in general. Like they may look at things with the cup empty instead of full. Okay, so the angelic message here is, may your understanding of human nature set an example of wisdom and tolerance for others. Okay, next gentleman, this name I can pronounce, Francis Bacon. Okay, existed in 1561 to 1626. The King of Swords, okay? So swords are representing the mind, thoughts, beliefs, the subconscious, and communication, and how the mind can powerfully affect our emotions, okay? So he was born into the British upper class. Bacon was a lawyer and a career politician with titles that included Attorney General, Advisor to the King, and Lord Chancellor. However, it was in science and philosophy that Bacon made his greatest contributions to the world. Throughout his adult life, he believed the established way of learning and inquiry was flawed. Employed by scientists, scholars, and philosophers since the ancient Greeks, deductive reasoning use general premise to arrive at a certain conclusion. For example, all dogs have an excellent sense of smell. Well, Barney is a dog, so Barney has an excellent sense of smell. Bacon believed that starting with a premise can mislead and distort the truth. He championed a new method that used inductive reasoning instead of deductive, where a conclusion is based on specific observations. It was very systematic, data was recorded, experiments performed, and information analyzed. The Baconian method gave rise to the scientific revolution and directly led to the development of the modern scientific method. Awesome. Some of the symbology here would be the columns that are behind him. These represent structure and stability, and the particular column is lit by like a morning sun. It's kind of hard to see, but which stands for enlightenment. The book that he's holding is representing obviously learning, thinking, intellectual beliefs. There is a pen which represents authorship and communication. And there's also an angel with a sword, which is representing the moral and ethical truth and justice. So when you see a king of swords, this can represent someone of authority, someone of stature, someone in the legal profession or police, or someone who comes with unbiased opinions or information. So the direct meaning would be a solid intellectual and educational foundation, being intellectual itself, adept at solving problems, the value of truth and fairness, and principles, knowing what is right and is important, high ethical standards, very rational, objective thinking, making good and fair decisions, an ability to skillfully communicate ideas and information no matter how complex it can be. If this was in the reverse, obviously the opposite of those things, but as well as having difficulty accepting things that cannot be proven, right? So it's like the ineptability of, believing something that is unseen. The angelic message here is to keep your mind and eyes open. It may lead you down the path to wisdom. That's cute. All right, the next king we're talking about is the King of Pentacles, okay? Pentacles represent the element earth, and it's about our physical reality, solid and tangible, and the concerns of everyday living. So money, work, health, residence, that sort of thing. And so the gentleman we're talking about today is Giovanni de' Medici, okay? He existed in 1360, 1429, and I apologize for brutalizing that name. So he was the founder of the Medici Bank, which gave birth to the Medici family's rise to power. He got his start in banking through a cousin and eventually established his own bank in Florence, which now branches in Rome, Venice, Naples, and Gaeta. Adept at business, he opened two wool textile processing factories and eventually expanded into the import-export trade. Giovanni married a woman from a well-established Florentine family and had two sons, who ultimately developed the Medici family dynasty. Giovanni died as a very wealthy man, but in the years that followed, his family's wealth and influence, political and cultural, grew exponentially. The Medici family produced 3 popes and 2 regent queens of France. In 1531, the family became the hereditary Dukes of Florence. The Medici Bank operated all across Europe and was one of the most affluent and respected institutions of its day. Okay, so you're seeing behind him the city background. And so the symbology of this is stability. Here they also denote the success related is being also carried through to generations to come in Florence. This represents the benefit and importance of having a solid foundation. The red clothing symbolizes status in Renaissance Florence, denoting success, royalty even. The direct meaning of the King of Pentacles is providing a sturdy foundation and being a good provider. Building something strong and durable, being a dependable leader, supervisor, manager, or entrepreneur, a business owner. Very adept at business, a knack for being an entrepreneur as well. So if you find this in reverse, this would be someone doing dirty business, someone who is unstable and unsecure in their physical reality. This could also be someone losing money or losing a business deal. This also can represent in reverse rigid and demanding and having high expectations, as well as intolerant of weakness or laziness. Okay, so there could be some of the shadow energies that show up there. The angelic message here is be generous and share the means of your success with others so that they may also prosper. All right, our final king is the King of Wands. And so wands is the fire element, and it represents energy, action, ambition, and motivation. Having a creative spark, motivating and inspiring others, and taking on challenges while still moving forward. All right, so the fellow we're talking about is John Brown, and he was born in 1800 to 1859. John Brown was an American abolitionist and fiercely against the institution of slavery, whose actions sparked the American Civil War. For much of his life, Brown led to a fairly conventional lifestyle as a business and family man, but he was also deeply religious and a radical who came to believe that the only way to end slavery was through violence, because slavery was a state of war. With his 5 sons, he moved to Kansas after the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854. He allowed people in those territories to decide for themselves whether or not to allow slavery. Dissatisfied with the non-aggressive approach of the abolition movement, he said, "These men are all talk. What we need is action. In Kansas, Brown aligned himself with anti-slavery forces and led multiple attacks on pro-slavery supporters, resulting in 5 deaths. Word spread, and Brown was deemed a hero by the northern extremists. Brown believed he was following the will of God. By early 1858, he assembled a small group of insurrectionists whose mission was to agitate the slaves, arm them with weapons, and start a liberation movement. But in order to do this, they needed guns and ammunition. So in 1859, Brown and 21 of his followers raided a federal arsenal. The U.S. Army responded, and Brown was captured and later hanged. Some people view Brown as a religious zealot and terrorist. Others consider him a martyr and freedom fighter. He probably was a bit of both. But without his ideas and action, slavery might have festered as an American institution far longer than it actually did. John Brown was and still is an anti-slavery icon. Well, hear to Mr. John Brown. So some of the symbology in this card is that there's a lot of fire in the sky. This illustrates a firestorm where passion, fire mixes with ideas, which are represented by the air element, the clouds. And so his arm is raised with the wand, and this is really that call to action. So anytime you see this card, it's a call to action. It's like stand up for your beliefs, stand up for your passion, stand up for your purpose. There's a higher calling for you to take action on something, okay? And it's about, again, matching up with your passion and the ideas to make something happen. So this would be taking decisive action at the most effective time, willing to take chances and trying a different approach to get a better result, clear, direct, straightforward energy, energetic, forceful, bold, and no hesitation. enthusiastic, inspires other people, and creates excitement. And then also the King of Wands would represent someone who is a natural leader. So in the reverse, this would be someone who's intolerant of weakness or inaction in others, someone who might be a bit domineering. Also lack of nuance or moderation. So someone who indulges in things. Maybe again, this in reverse would be someone who's all talk and no action. So the angelic message here is, may you always believe that your actions matter. All right, y'all, that's it for the Tarotorial on the Kings. If you would like more, please feel free to go to my YouTube where they're all posted. And the next one will be about the Aces. Okay, talk to you later.